Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here to the Sugarman Sports Complex in Fort Lee, New Jersey, as it's the setting for the final home game of the season for the Fort Lee Bridgemen, as they are taking on Cresskill here today in this final matchup. Cresskill 10-12 on the season, still trying to improve on their potential playoff seeding as they come in 13th in power points in North 1 Group 1. They're led by head coach Johnny Merritz. As Fort Lee coming in trying to win their 7th game of the season, they are currently 17th in the North 1 Group 3 Power Points rankings, so they still have a shot at trying to advance to the postseason. They have to be in the top 16 to do so. Today it's going to be Kyle Ratzker getting the start on the mound, and he'll be taking on Cresskill lineup. That includes center fielder Robert Fulner, then second is Eric Nam, the catcher. James Connolly hitting third, playing first base. Ronald Presta is the pitcher here today. He's in the cleanup spot. Hitting fifth is the right fielder, Joey Anasinotis. Hitting sixth is the shortstop, Ryan Kopczynski. Hitting seventh, the third baseman, Dominic Wanderling. Hitting eighth, the second baseman, Luke Kopczynski. And hitting ninth, the left fielder, Tyler Manarang. And the first pitch of the day is sent into left field for a base hit down the left field line. Getting to that one is Katayama. That's going to be a leadoff double on the first play of the game for Robert Fulner, the center fielder. So Cresskill doesn't waste any time. The first pitch that they see goes for a double down the left field line. Fulner went 0 for 3 in their last game, a loss against Emerson, so the senior on base with the first base hit of the game for the Cougars. That brings up the catcher, Eric Nam. Nam is a sophomore, went 0 for 2 in their last game against Emerson. Cresskill, as we mentioned, 10-12 on the season. They've lost 4 out of their last 5 games. They were mercied in 5 innings against Emerson yesterday in their last game. That one win in their last 5 contests was a 17-3 win on the road against Weehawken. Again, Cresskill right now would be in playoff positioning. So a win here today could really help them lock up that opportunity to play a little postseason baseball in North 1 Group 1. As Kyle Ratzker still trying to find his location early on in this contest, with again a runner down at second with nobody out here in the top of the first. Lofted pitch gets over for a strike that time. Fort Lee has gone 4-8 here at home so far this spring. Looking to bounce back after an 11-5 loss at home on Wednesday against Riverdale. There's going to be a pop-up to right field. Shading underneath that for the putout, and not far enough to allow that base runner at second base to think about tagging and going to third on the play. So that's a big out procured there by Kyle Ratzker. Fort Lee defense, Katayama out in left, Perez in center. Jacob Greenberg getting the start in right field. He just made the last putout. Dorcom down at third. Lee at shortstop. Max Greenberg at second. Rosario at first. And Senator doing the catching. James Connolly hitting third in the lineup. Takes that pitch a little too high for a ball from Ratzker. 1-0. Connolly went 2 for 2 yesterday against Emerson. He also threw 2 innings of work, picked up the loss against the Cavos. As that missed a little low to the outside. Fulner still standing down at second base. He lit off this game on the first pitch he saw with a double down the left field line. Was not able to tag up on that fly ball out to right field by Eric Nam. Now Conley trying to maybe get an RBI opportunity of his own. The senior stepping in from the right side against Ratsker. It's going to be another pop-up. That's going to move Greenberg back a couple strides in right field. This time tagging from second, trying to head down to third. It'll go over the head of the cutoff man, but it will be the second out of the inning. So back-to-back flyouts to right field. Have Cresskill with a runner down at third, but with 2 outs in the inning, and bringing up Ronald Presta, the pitcher. Presta will try to step in and help his own cause out. The junior 0 for 2 yesterday against Emerson. Ratsker trying to get out of this inning, unscored upon after surrendering that leadoff double. Missed on the slow curve to the outside, 1-0. Curveball also missed to the outside. Now 2-0 the count against Presta. Cresskill looking for their 11th win of the season. This is the second to last game of the regular season for Fort Lee. As there's a strike call to get Ratsker a strike in this at-bat. And that'll miss to the outside, so that's going to be a 2-out walk. There's now runners at the corners with 2 outs here for Cresskill. First walk of the afternoon surrendered by Fort Lee pitching. That brings up Joey Anastasados. The senior getting the start in right field today for Cresskill. He's hitting 5th in their lineup. Yesterday, he went 1 for 2 in that loss against Emerson. That's popped up straight back for a foul ball, 0-1. The one missing low, the runner is off, and he'll easily swipe the bag at second base. So Presta now moved into scoring position as well. That pitch missing low. 2-1 the count. And that will be, it looks like, another walk. So, excuse me, I was wrong with that count. That'll give up the walks. So it's back-to-back walks given up to the 4th and 5th place hitters in the lineup. The bases are now full of Cresskill Cougars. Ryan Kopczynski will step in. Take that one for a strike as Ratsker trying to get ahead of that count early in an at-bat. Ryan Kopczynski, the shortstop, senior, went 1 for 2 against Emerson yesterday. That's a hot shot for a base hit. That's going to drive in at least 1 run. Another runner making the turn. The throw home is going to be offline. That's going to end up as a 2-run double for Ryan Kopczynski. And Cresskill has staked themselves to an early 2-0 lead here with 2 outs in the top of the first inning. So Ryan Kopczynski drives in a pair with the bases loaded and 2 outs here in the top of the first with his base hit to left field. That brings up the 7th place hitter, the third baseman, Dominic Wanderling. Wanderling with a Swing and a miss on the outside corner edge. Wanderling is a senior. He went 0 for 1 with a walk yesterday in their loss against Emerson. They were shut out in that game 10-0 in a 5-run Mercy Rule shortened game. So already Cresskill scoring a couple of runs here on the road in the first inning. And Ratsker still not out of woods just yet. Runners at second and third. Still with 2 outs in the inning. He's lost his control a little bit here. Those walks proved to be rather costly for him. That is fouled into the top of the back cage. That's lined up behind home plate. Beautiful afternoon here for baseball at opening pitch. 67 degrees. That one right down the middle, strike 3 called. So Wanderling is retired for the third and final out of the inning. But a 2-run double by Ryan Kopczynski has stayed Cresskill out to an early 2-0 lead. We head to the bottom of the first as you're watching Fort Lee Baseball here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. We head to the bottom of the first inning. 2-0 lead for Cresskill as we meet the Fort Lee lineup here today. Marcus Lee leading off and playing at shortstop. Luke Senator hitting second and doing the catching. Keizo Katayama is the left fielder and hitting third. Emmanuel Perez is the fourth place hitter. He's going to be the center fielder today. Franco Rosario will hit fifth, then play down at first base. First pitch of the game missing outside against Marcus Lee, 1-0. Jack Dorkin will play third base and hit sixth. Kyle Ratsker will be the pitcher and hit seventh. Jacob Greenberg will hit eighth and play in right field. And Max Greenberg will play second base and hit ninth. As Lee takes that 1-0 for a strike, a curveball. From the starting pitcher here today, Ronald Presta. Presta, a junior, getting the start here on the mound for Cresskill as Lee hammers that one into foul territory and out of play. Marcus Lee has been sensational at the top of the lineup. He went 1 for 3 with an RBI and 2 stolen bases in their last win against New Milford on May 16th. He was red hot before that. Swinging wildly at one in the dirt outside the zone. They'll have to complete the throw down to first base, and a nice pick out of the turf there for the out by Connolly. Will retire Marcus Lee with the first Fort Lee out of the game here to begin the bottom of the first inning. So officially that'll go down as a strikeout for Presta. One out in the inning, that'll bring up Luke Senator. Senator had a walk and a run scored against New Milford in that win on May 16th. Hitting from the right side. A swing and a miss there. Had that low fastball from Presta. That had some serious zip on it at the end. Ground ball to second base. Ranging down low to make that play at second was Luke Kopczynski. And there's two away with no one on base now here for Fort Lee. That'll bring up Keizo Katayama, who's been the best hitter so far this season for the Bridgemen. The senior 2 for 4 with a run scored in the win against New Milford. Keizo hitting from the right side. Playing in his final game here at home in his Fort Lee career. And what a career it's been for Katayama. Again, he's been so good at so many different positions for Fort Lee around his career. As Katayama will line that one down the left field line. That's going to be a base hit and extra bases at that. Katayama will rumble into second base with the first hit of the afternoon for the Bridgemen. And Katayama, who's played in the infield, the outfield, also been a catcher in his time here at Fort Lee, has gotten it done also consistently with his bat. As Keizo will have a 2-out double here in the bottom of the first inning. Keizo getting the start here this afternoon in left field. And that's where he deposited that one down the left field line for a fair ball. That'll bring up the cleanup hitter, Emmanuel Perez. Perez is shifted into the starting role in center field after he was really in left field for the majority of this season. Fort Lee led by head coach Peter Kraujik, trying to get a spark here for his offense and shifting around his lineup. Again, Fort Lee coming into today's game 17th in the North 1 Group 3 Power Points, trailing Dwight Morrow for the final playoff spot. Presta's pitch. That's going to be a ground ball into right field for a base hit. Katayama rounding third. He will get home to score easily. An RBI single by Emmanuel Perez, also with 2 outs in the inning. So both Cresskill and Fort Lee scoring with 2 outs in the opening frame. And now Fort Lee has gotten back to within 1 run of the Cougars with that RBI single by Emmanuel Perez. That'll bring up the first baseman, Franco Rosario, with a runner at first and 2 out here in the first inning. Rosario went 0 for 3 in the win against New Milford a couple of days ago. Swings violently and misses at that first offering you saw out of the hands of Presta. So Presta produced the first 2 outs of the inning with a strikeout and a ground out. But then since then has surrendered a double and then an RBI single in the last 2 batters he's faced. Calling for time was Rosario, who thought that Presta and Cresskill taking a little too long for his liking. Pick-off move, not in time as Perez got back in safely. Runner is going this time. Rosario again swinging and missing. That's going to be another strike against him. Tying run is now in scoring position, though, for Fort Lee with 2 outs still here in the bottom of the first. Perez again is off and running, and it's to no avail anyway, as Rosario swings and misses for strike three. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Ronald Presto, also gave up 2 hits, one of which was an RBI single to Emmanuel Perez that drove in Keizo Katayama, who reached safely with a double down the left field line. So after 1 inning of play, it's Cresskill leading Fort Lee by a score of 2-1. Stick around as we'll be back for the start of the 2nd inning here on YouTube. Top of the 2nd inning, Cresskill in front by a score of 2-1. Scored twice in the top of the 1st inning with 2 outs in that frame. As that's going to be a curveball strike against Luke Kopczynski, the starting 2nd baseman. As he ricochets that one foul down the first base line. Luke Kopczynski is a freshman, went 0 for 1 yesterday against Emerson, also through 2 innings of scoreless work. Getting the start down at 2nd base. His older brother Ryan was the one who drove in the 2 runs with the double in the 1st inning. And Luke is frozen there. He goes down looking. Back-to-back strikeouts in this game now for Kyle Ratzker. And there's 1 away to start the top of the 2nd inning. Brings up the left fielder, the 9th place hitter, Tyler Manarang. Manarang is a sophomore for Cresskill, batting from the left side. Bounces that one into the top of the cage and might have even ricocheted into Senator a little bit. As you heard the clang, even for where we are situated in our broadcast vantage point, which is deep in center field. No offering, grounded down to 2nd base. Greenberg hustled over to make the nice play, threw it over to Rosario, and quickly now there's 2 outs here to begin the top of the 2nd. Better start to this one than in the 1st inning, where Ratzker was rudely greeted by this man, Robert Fuellner. First pitch that he threw in the game, it was lined down the left field line for a double. Fuellner was then eventually driven in by Ryan Kopczynski to end that inning. There's a pop-up in foul territory. The wind was blowing it back into fair territory, but the out was procured by Rosario. So a 1-2-3 inning put up by Fort Lee's Kyle Ratzker. That'll set us to the bottom of the 2nd as it remains a 2-1 lead for Cresskill. Bottom of the second inning, Fort Lee trailing 2-1. They scored 1 run in that first inning. Now Jack Dorcom will lead things off to begin inning number 2. The freshman went 2 for 2 with 2 RBIs against New Milford earlier this week on May 16th, taking that one in the dirt, 1-1. So the 6, 7, and 8 hitters due up in this inning to go against Ronald Presta. Dorcom slow to get after that one, after that went low in the dirt. 2 strikes against him now. Fort Lee producing their 1 run in the first inning, all with 2 outs in the frame, as that missed to the outside. The same could also be said of Cresskill. So a non-conference showdown. Cresskill of the NJIC. Fort Lee representing the Big North Conference here today. Taken low, good eye at the plate there by Dorcom. Now the count is run full, 3-2. As that's going to be a generous call. 3rd strike on the outside corner. 3rd strikeout of the game already for Ronald Presta of Cresskill. And the leadoff man is retired to begin the bottom of the second inning. Dorcom goes down looking. That'll bring up the opposing pitcher, Kyle Ratzker. His first plate appearance of the game, hitting from the right side with 1 out, nobody on here in the bottom of the second. As that is going to be a call strike there, right at the knees. Lunging to that outside corner, but unable to cover that strike. So now it's 2 strikes against Kyle Ratzker. Presta already in the first 2 hitters he's faced here in the second have them a little off balance. It's going to be a weakly hit ground ball to short. Ryan Kopczynski will throw it over in time for the second out, and just like in the first inning, Ronald Presta has retired the first 2 hitters he's faced in order. 2 outs with nobody on base now for Jacob Greenberg. Greenberg getting the start in right field here this afternoon. He hits from the right side against Presta. And swings and misses on the first offering that he saw. 0-1 the count. Jettisons that one up into the top of the cage and fouls. So quickly it's 0-2. And Ronald Presta trying to answer with a 1-2-3 inning of his own after he saw Kyle Ratzker orchestrate that at the top of the second inning. The 0-2 ground ball, and that's going to get into center field with a base hit. 3rd hit of the afternoon for Fort Lee, and the first hit for Jacob Greenberg. So Greenberg reaches base safely. Just as Fort Lee had in the first inning, they had the first 2 outs, and then Katayama started that comeback with a double down the left field line. This inning is kept alive with a single up the middle by Jacob Greenberg. That'll bring up Max Greenberg now, hitting 9th in the lineup, playing second base as he's been doing throughout the course of this season. Here today for Coach Kraljic. Presta taking a little more time. This time fires that one past Max for a strike. There's the pickoff. They got the runner in a pickle. They throw it down a second and minister the tag, and the runner is out. So Jacob Greenberg was going on first movement, and then he was caught dead to rights as they got him caught up in the pickle, and then the administered tag got them out of the inning. So Max Greenberg will be the one batting to lead off the third inning. As we head to that third inning, it's still a 2-1 lead for Cresskill. As you're watching Fort Lee baseball here in the 2023 season on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. Top of the third inning, 2-1 lead for Cresskill. As Eric Nam, the catcher, will step in. He flew out to right field back in the first inning. He's 0 for 1 this afternoon. Takes that second pitch for a strike to even the count now at 1-1. Breaking pitch also missing, a little too low, 2-1 the count. So far in this game, through the first two innings, Kyle Ratzker has given up 2 runs on 2 hits and struck out 2. And that's going to be the third hit he's given up. That's going to be a leadoff single to begin the top of the third. He had retired the last 4 hitters that he faced in order, including that 1-2-3 second inning, but gives up a leadoff single to Eric Nam to begin the third inning. That'll bring up the third place hitter, the first baseman, James Connolly. Connolly also 0 for 1, flew out to right field. Back in the first inning. Both pitchers in this game have surrendered 3 base hits. That's going to be another base hit here for Cresskill, just in between the third baseman and the shortstop. James Connolly collects his first hit of the day. So back-to-back singles for the Cougars to start off the top of the third, have runners at first and second with nobody out, as Ronald Presta will step up. Presta drew a walk in his first plate appearance back in the first inning. Presta swinging the first pitch that he saw, sends Perez back deep in center field. He'll make the out. Almost a base running blunder for Cresskill, as they had a runner right at second base when that lead runner was getting back to the second base bag. Having to hustle all the way was James Connolly just so that he wasn't tagged out or even ran past his own teammate. So Presta flies out to deep center field for the first out of the inning. There's one away with runners still at first and second. That brings up Joey Anastasados. Right fielder drew a walk in his first plate appearance back in the first inning. They had a pickoff move, and quite frankly, Marcus Lee got to the bag quickly before that base runner, Eric Nam, could react. But Ratsker did not want to try at throwing that pickoff move away. Misses on the first offering. Too high, 1-0. That one is fouled into the top of the backstop. Anastasados was trying to drive the ball in that area, but lipped it just a little too high. Curveball breaks too high and outside. 2-1 the count against the Cresskill right fielder. RBI opportunity with a runner down at second in scoring position. Another runner behind him at first. Flares that one out to shallow right field. Coming in is Greenberg. Makes the play after he lost his lid as his hat flew off behind him, and now there's 2 away. He's been a busy man. 3 putouts so far in this game for the Fort Lee right fielder. And once again, Kyle Ratsker has a pathway out of an inning. After having the first 2 runners reach safely against him, he's produced back-to-back outs, and now it's 2 outs in the inning. Ryan Kopczynski is the man who gave Cresskill the lead that they currently enjoy with a 2-run double in the first inning with the bases loaded. Swings and misses out in front of that one. He was clearly deceived by Ratsker. He was thinking fastball all the way, got the breaking pitch instead. 0-1 the count. Runners down at first and second still. Now the throw down to third, and that's going to be a stolen base for Cresskill. Kind of saw that the third baseman was not going to be in the area to make a good play. The throw by Senator was offline as well. So aggressive base running there by Eric Nam has him down at third, with Connolly still down at first behind him. Ratsker doesn't have to worry about those players as long as he could just focus on that hitter and get the third and final out of the inning. There was something wrong as Ratsker was stepping off the mound. And the umpire is also making a slow, meandered walk towards the third base side. What could this be about? Again, we have no idea, quite frankly, of what's going on here. That there's a runner still standing down at third base. The pitcher went off the mound. Then the umpire just slowly walked over to third and exchanged a couple words with the third baseman, Dorcom, and here we go again. We resume play after some pleasantries were maybe exchanged. That pitch missed high outside. Ryan Kopczynski trying to continue his big afternoon. Runner is off from second. Fake the throw to second, sliding in safely and easily there. So Cresskill once again aggressive on the base paths here this afternoon. They've got runners now at second and third. Began the inning with runners at first and second, all now with 2 outs. That's a pitch that just missed to the outside. That's going to be ball 4, given up to Ryan Kopczynski. So Kopczynski is on base safely for the second time in this game. And the 2-run double in the first now draws a 2-out walk here in the third. And the bases are once again loaded. That brings up third baseman Dominic Wanderling. Wanderling was a strikeout victim in his first plate appearance to end the first inning, struck out looking. Fastball taken too high, 1-0. Just give it up. Kyle Ratsker has given up 2 hits in this inning and 1 walk. No runs, though. Missed upstairs. Nowhere to put Wanderling here. Wanderling will fly that one to Katayama. Twists and turns and gets underneath for the big final third out of the inning. So 3 runners are left on base for Cresskill. They threaten with the first 2 hitters getting on safely, but Kyle Retzker gets out of trouble with a couple of flyouts to all of his outfielders. We head to the bottom of the third. It remains a 1-run lead for the visitors. Max Greenberg will lead off the bottom of the third inning. He was the last hitter up when Jacob Greenberg was caught in a rundown and was thrown out, or tagged out, I should say, to end that scoring opportunity in the bottom of the second inning. Max will pop this one up to left field. Manarang underneath it secures the first out of the inning here in the bottom of the third. One away with nobody on base as after Greenberg flies out to left. Back to the top of the order for Marcus Lee. Lee was a strikeout victim for the Bridgemen back in the first inning. They had to complete the throw down to first, but they got there with a nice pick of the baseball by Connolly out of the turf. Lee is a type of hitter that once he gets on base, he is such a great stolen base talent that he can really get and generate a big inning for Fort Lee. The key is just getting him on base in the first place. As time was called. Lee will bounce that one in as the second baseman bobbled it, and there's going to be no chance to throw at Lee then. It was a slowly hit ball to second base. Luke Kopczynski, understanding that Lee has blazing speed, decided not to play back of the ball, but instead charge it. And that's a do-or-die type of play then, because if you charge it and you bobble it, there's no chance to set and recover. And when he finally got a grip of the clean baseball, he already saw Lee was on the first base bag. So an error against the second baseman has Lee on board with one out here in the bottom of the third. Brings up Luke Senator. Senator is 0 for 1, grounded out to second base back in his first plate appearance in the first inning. As they check in on Lee, Lee got back into first base safely in time. Ground ball could be a double play ball. On to second for one, on to first, double play. A 6-4-3 double play after Senator hit it to the shortstop. Good execution there from Ryan Kopczynski to get it to his brother Luke. And on to Conley in time to get out and through the inning. So 3 innings in the books. It's still a 2-1 lead for Cresskill as we head to the 4th inning here on YouTube. Top of the 4th inning. New pitcher on the mound now for Fort Lee. It's Jack Dorcom, who moves over from third base. Getting the baseball here after Kyle Rasker went the first 3 innings. Gabe Garcia is in as the new third baseman for the Bridgman. So Dorcom, the new pitcher. Garcia down at the hot corner at third. Luke Kopczynski is leading things off, the 8th place hitter. He's 0 for 1 with a called third strike, ending his first at-bat back in the 2nd inning. He helped turn that nice 6-4-3 double play to get through the bottom portion of the 3rd. As Dorcom missing on the inside. Ratzker had an effective performance here today. 3 innings, allowed 2 runs on 4 hits. As that is hooked real foul and nearly clipped the back bumper of a car that was making its way out of town. Just outside the Sugarman Sports Complex. Hard hit ball. Garcia tested and could not come away with it. Went off of his glove, and that's going to be a base hit. Held to a single, but Luke Kopczynski getting the leadoff hit here to begin the top of the 4th inning for Cresskill, their 5th hit of the day. That was going to be a tough play for Gabe Garcia, the sophomore, to make, but he was upset with himself that he didn't come away with it after he went to the backhand. It'll bring up the left fielder, Tyler Manarang. Manarang 0 for 1 this afternoon for Cresskill, grounded out to second base back in the second inning. Squares around to drop down the bunt, rolls to the right side of the foul line, down the third base side. 0-1 the count against Manarang. We'll see if Cresskill continues their aggressive base running. Manarang, ground ball, knocked down by the first baseman Rosario, and that's going to be no play in the infield for Fort Lee. It took a weird carom off the glove of Rosario and went into kind of no man's land. Greenberg could not get to it in time to even get a force out. So, just like the last inning, first two base runners have gotten on safely. Now it's runners at first and second with nobody out here for Cresskill, threatening for more, leading 2-1 in this game. Back to the top of the order. And Robert Fuellner. Fuellner is 1 for 2 in this game, led off the game with a double. Popped up to the first baseman back in the second inning, this second at bat. As that's taken for a strike. Dorcom missing to the outside. Ground ball could be a double play. On to second for one, on to first. High throw takes the first baseman off the bag. The runner will come around and score from third on the throwing error. Again, Fort Lee had a little more time than maybe they thought they did. They tried to rush that one. Looked like it was going to be a tailor-made 6-4-3 double play themselves. They got that one out at second, but then the throw was a little too high from Greenberg. Rosario couldn't range and get that one down. That'll score the run from third and also send that runner from first down to second base. A little chin music backing up Eric Nam a bit. So officially E4 was going to be the tail end of that play after the initial ground out on a fielder's choice. 6-4. So Cresskill increases its lead now to 3-1. With that runner scoring on the error. Was going to be, if they completed it, 2 outs with a runner down at third. Instead, it's 1 out with a runner down at second now. And another run home. Another ground ball. This time is going to be handled by Garcia, taking a little too much time, but still was able to loft it over. Making that a close play, but Rosario hung on to it. Now there's 2 outs in the inning with a runner down at third base. So Nam is now 1 for 3 in this ball game. Brings up James Connolly, the first baseman. Connolly got a base hit his last time up in the third. He's 1 for 2 this afternoon. Breaking pitch, missing in the inner corner of the plate, 1-0. Another chopper. This time it's going to be handled on one hop by Lee, who throws over in time to limit the damage to only 1 run in the inning. So after a throwing error leads to the third run of the game, Cresskill will take a 3-1 lead now into the bottom of the 4th inning as Fort Lee try to get their bats going here in their final home game of the 2023 season. Bottom of the fourth inning, 3-1 lead now for Cresskill. They've scored twice in the first and once more here in the fourth inning. Fort Lee scored 1 run in the first and are trying to add to that total here as they bat to begin the bottom of the fourth. Keizo Katayama standing in. Katayama 1 for 1 with a double down the left field line with 2 outs in the first inning. That helped rally Fort Lee to eventually that first run that they scored in the game after Emmanuel Perez had an RBI single. Keizo laying off that one to the outside. As that's taken to the inner corner for a strike. 3-1 the count against Katayama, who's trying to lead things off, getting on base safely here for the Bridgemen. He'll ground that one on a high hop to short. Kopczynski's throw could not be handled by the first baseman Connolly, as that'll be a throwing error against the shortstop. Second consecutive inning that has seen an error against Cresskill, and Katayama has reached base safely to begin the bottom of the fourth. So both teams committing errors here in the fourth inning. That'll bring up Emmanuel Perez. Perez 1 for 1 with that RBI single back in the first inning. Fort Lee's offense trying to get to work. They were held to 5 runs in their last game. A loss here on Wednesday against Riverdale. There's a ground ball taken at the second base bag for 1. On to first, double play. Talk about making immediate amends after committing that error to begin the inning. Number 15, Ryan Kopczynski, the shortstop, immediately saw where the ground ball was headed, raced over to cover behind the second base bag, fielded it, and then touched the bag and threw on to first for the unassisted double play. 6-6-3 double play, second consecutive inning that following an error, Cresskill has been able to turn a double play in the infield. That brings up now Franco Rosario with 2 outs and nobody on here, the home bottom of the fourth inning. Rosario 0 for 1 this afternoon, struck out swinging in the first. Takes that one low underneath the knees as Ronald Presta trying to put up another scoreless frame. Presta gets the low strike that time. Presta's given up 3 hits, but has not allowed a hit since the second inning. He's used his defense to help bail him out of jams here. A swing and a miss by Rosario and a healthy cut. 2 strikes now against him. And Rosario goes down on strikes to end the fourth inning. So after Katayama got on to begin the inning with an error, then Emmanuel Perez grounded it into a 6-6-3 double play, and Rosario strikes out to end that fourth inning for Fort Lee. We head to the fifth inning. It's a 3-1 lead for Cresskill. The pitcher, Ronald Presta, will lead things off for Cresskill. The cleanup hitter hitting fourth in lineup takes a strike from Dorcom to begin the top of the fifth inning. Presta will flare that one to right field, trying to come in to make the play, but can't do so, was Greenberg. He was trying to rush in, but could not get that angle in time to get to the ball when it was a low line drive, and that'll fall for a leadoff single for Cresskill. Only once in this game so far has Cresskill not lit off an inning with a man safe at first. Leadoff hitter has got it on in 4 out of the first 5 innings. 7 hits now in this game for the visitors. Anasasados now will step in, the right fielder. 0 for 1 with a walk here so far today. Runner is going. The throw down to second base, not going to be handled. That'll skitter its way into center field. Good backup and no chance for Presta to think about popping up and taking the extra base down to third. He does get the stolen base. He's now in scoring position. Trying to help his own cause out as he is leading in this game 3-1 and pitching a whale of a game. As Dorcom going more with a sidearm throw delivery there. And he missed that one in the dirt. As Dorcom firing something over to his dugout side. Might have been some equipment that he had on and wasn't feeling comfortable wearing. And that pitch making the hitter duck as he threw behind the hitter there. And there was a long stare out between hitter and pitcher. Anasasados was not happy about where that pitch was delivered. Chops that one foul to the right side of the third baseline. Again, Cresskill trying to bounce back after they've hit into a rough patch of their season, having lost 4 of their last 5 contests. Trying to come here on the road and take down Fort Lee and get back to 11-12 on the season. Cresskill, 5th place in the NJIC's Patriot Division, as that is fouled into the top of the cage. In that division, Waldwick on top, 8-2. Emerson behind in 2nd place. Midland Park, then Park Ridge. Cresskill and New Milford rounding out that league. Now Senator will come out and want to have some words with his starting pitcher. Fort Lee has already assured themselves a 3rd place finish in the Big North America Division this year. Ridgehill Park claimed the league title. Dumont finished in 2nd place. Then Fort Lee, Cliffside Park behind the Bridgemen, and Dwight Morrow finishing in last. Runner down at second, nobody out. Again, fouled straight back. Anastasados was trying to catch up to that heater. And once again, Senator wants to get on the same page with his pitcher. Went out and whispered with the glove right in front. Inside pitch missed for ball 4. And Anasasados draws his 2nd walk of the game. 4th walk given up by Fort Lee pitchers. And the first 2 runners have reached safely, 1st and 2nd with nobody out. Brings up Ryan Kopczynski. 1 for 1 with the walk here today. Also that one hit, his 2-run double. He has seemingly been on base every time that there have been runners in front of him on base. The shortstop who made that nice unassisted double play. Now ahead of the count. 2-0. Dorcom missing in the dirt to the outside. The throw down to third, not going to be in time. Cresskill again taking full advantage of any mistakes here today for Fort Lee. That ball was in the dirt. Wild pitch. Went to the backstop. No hesitation whatsoever for the runners as they took second and third. Now it's a 3-0 count against Kopczynski. There's a get-me-over strike to make it 3-1. Now a simple sacrifice fly may be able to bring in the fourth run of the game for Cresskill. That one is fouled off, so Dorcom fights back to secure a full count 3-2. First base is open. 3-2 count. Runners at second and third. Nobody out here, top of the fifth. Kopczynski going deep to the right side. That's going to be pushing back Greenberg, who bobbles it but makes the catch. Tagging from third and scoring is Presta. A great job of hanging with that one was Greenberg. It looked like for sure that he was going to potentially drop the ball. But he bobbled it, held on to possession. And there's a runner down at second base. I couldn't see. I don't know if Fort Lee appealed down to third and if the umpire had deemed the runner had maybe left the bag early before tagging, because there's a conversation going on with the Cresskill coach and the home plate umpire. Did they say that he left early? If so, that run does not count, and there's 2 outs in the inning. Again, with that look right now, and again, where we're situated, we have no idea of what is eventually going on. Home plate umpire has removed his mask, and is he going to be going out to his counterpart, who is positioned behind the mound at second base, to see whether or not, in fact, the runner did leave early? So an interesting juncture at this point of the game. If they said that the runner tagged correctly and properly, and it would be a 4-1 lead for Cresskill with 1 out of the inning and a runner still down at second. If they deemed that he left early and the appeal was thrown down to third, that is essentially a double play. No runs scored, a runner down at second, but with 2 outs in the inning. So both umpires again conferring with one another. This is a huge call in the grand scheme of this one. A 3-1 lead for Cresskill as they bat here in the top of the 5th inning. As we await any potential call here, we thank you again for tuning in to another edition of Fort Lee Baseball on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. And they will talk things over, and they will overrule what that original ruling was of an out. They're going to say safe. So the runner did not leave early at third base. The run will score. It is a 4-1 lead for Cresskill on the sacrifice fly by Ryan Kopczynski. Give him his 3rd RBI of the afternoon. And a runner is still down at second base with 1 out in the inning. So both umpires conferred with one another. I think, again, the original call was by the home plate umpire of out. That's what drew the ire of the coach for Cresskill, Donnie Merritz, down to the third base line. He asked then the home plate umpire to confer with his cohort. And that umpire ruled that it was, in fact, a legal play. As a fly out to center field, Perez caught that one on the line drive by Wanderling. 2nd out of the inning. And after a long discussion, that umpire that's situated in a very good area to see whether or not the runner did, in fact, get back to the bag and leave after the out was secured by Greenberg. And again, the timing of that play was tough because Greenberg went back on his horse and then bobbled it in his bare hand. Then he secured the out. So it wasn't just an easy out made in the glove, but he bobbled it a little bit. That had to halt the runner from third base. But Presta did leave the bag at the appropriate time, according to that second base umpire. And that is why Cresskill has extended its lead now to 4-1. But now there's 2 outs in the inning. And once again, Dorcom, much like Ratsker, has an opportunity to limit the damage to only 1 run in the inning. As he bounces that one in the dirt against Luke Kopczynski. He's 1 for 2 today, and a base hit his last time up to lead off the 4th. Also struck out looking in the 2nd inning. That one is popped up down the left field line. It's going to be a tough play. Katayama has to play it on a hop. That's going to be a fair ball. And that's going to drive in another run with 2 outs in this game. Luke Kopczynski flexing towards his dugout side. After he had that one drop perfectly down the left field line, Katayama was shifted more to center field. Had to really run underneath that one and played it on a hop. More 2-out run production here today for Cresskill. They score their 2nd run of the inning on the RBI double by Luke Kopczynski. So the Kopczynski boys have driven in 4 runs here today. It's now a 5-1 lead for Cresskill. Still batting with a runner down at second base and 2 outs here in the top of the 5th. There's Manarang. And what a dazzling play, nearly made by Greenberg. Couldn't secure it cleanly. That's going to score another run for Cresskill. And Greenberg seems to be down in pain as well. He was trying to make an outstanding play after he was getting into shallow center field and try to almost an over-the-shoulder play. And he's getting stretched out now by some of his teammates. Hopefully it's just a case of cramps. But he held it briefly in his glove, but then it popped out after he was trying to rotate around. That allows another run to score. Tyler Manarang will have an RBI single there. That'll be the 3rd run of the inning produced by Cresskill, as they've now stretched their advantage to 6-1. As Tom Herr and the training staff will come out to attend to Max Greenberg to see if Max is going to be okay. Looks like that is the case after he does a little light jogging to see if he's completely fine. But Max Greenberg nearly with a sensational play to get Fort Lee out of the inning. But again, he could not get to that flare hit. They have not been hard hit balls, but they've done the job for Cresskill in this inning. Had that bloop double down the left field line by Luke Kopczynski, and now Tyler Manarang just getting enough to flare that one outside of the infield and into shallow center field for a base hit that drives in another run. So back to the top of the order now. Fjellner with a throw down to second, and they're going to be saying safe. Manarang gets in safely. That was a good throw by Senator and a nice tag attempt by Marcus Lee, but just a little too late as Manarang got in safely. Another stolen base here today for Cresskill. They've been running wild. Pickoff attempt, just not in time as Greenberg was sneaking back behind Manarang. As Robert Fjellner again stepping in. Had a double in his first at-bat, popped up to the first baseman his second time up, and then he grounded into a fielder's choice, but got on safely then at the tail end of it when it should have been a double play ball. But it was an error against Max Greenberg in that exchange, trying to complete the double play. That was in the last time he was up in the 4th inning. Throw down to third, again not going to be on line. Manarang with his 2nd stolen base in this inning. 3 runs on 3 hits, also a walk in this inning. And that's going to be strike 3 called on the outside corner. And Jack Dorcom finally secures that third and final out of the 5th. But Cresskill adds to its lead, putting up 3 runs there in the top of the 5th. 6-1 lead for the Cougars as we head to the bottom of 5. Work to do now for Fort Lee as they see a 3-1 deficit swell to 6-1. Jack Dorcom will lead things off for the Bridgemen to begin this 5th inning. Dorcom is 0 for 1 with a strikeout in this game. That was back in the 2nd inning. Fort Lee has not had a base hit since the 2nd. Got off to a quick start. 2 hits in the 1st inning, a hit in the 2nd, but they've gotten base runners on courtesy of errors. But they have not really felt comfortable at home plate against Presta. As we see right there, Dorcom, a swing and a miss, and then he has to be tagged down by the catcher after he was trying to avoid the tag and kind of a surprise, was not trying to run down to first base after that strikeout. Kind of tried to do a juke like he was doing Red Rover. But the tag is administered nonetheless, so a strikeout against Dorcom. That starts off the bottom of the 5th inning. 5th strikeout of the afternoon for Ronald Presta. Presta now contending with the first pitcher of the day for Fort Lee and Kyle Ratzker. Correction, no longer Ratzker, it's Garcia. Gabe Garcia, who came in to play third base, will get a base hit off the glove of Connolly and into shallow right field. So Garcia secures that first hit since the 2nd inning for Fort Lee, a 1-out base runner now for the Bridgemen. Fourth hit of the afternoon for Fort Lee. That'll bring up Jacob Greenberg. Greenberg was the man until that last at-bat, who had the last hit of the game for Fort Lee. First ball swinging, popping that one into the top of the cage, foul, 0-1. Greenberg had a single back in the 2nd inning. He's 1 for 1 this afternoon. Ronald Presta has given up 1 run on 4 hits, has struck out 5, and has not walked a batter so far in this game. He has thrown strikes and has worked quickly here this afternoon for Cresskill. Pickoff attempt, not in time, as Garcia got back in safely. Swinging that one in the dirt. And the ball getting away from the catcher, but not enough for Garcia to think that he could make it down to second base safely. And talking about Garcia, earlier this week against New Milford, Garcia went 1 for 3, but also was dynamic, going the distance. A complete game victory on the mound for the Bridgemen. He's standing down at first base as their first base runner of this bottom of the fifth. That pitch taken high and outside. Jacob Greenberg, the right fielder, hitting here now. He's followed up by Max Greenberg, the second baseman. The 8 and 9 hitters here today for Fort Lee. That one's bounced to the dirt, so Presta's lost his control a bit here in the last couple of pitches. Dancing well outside the strike zone. With a comfortable breeze coming throughout the facility here at the Sugarman Sports Complex, Fort Lee trying to get their offense going here. That's nubbed down to third base. Trying to go the short route on to second for one. Not going to be fast enough to turn the double play. So Wanderling goes to second base for the force out. And now there's 2 outs in the inning after Jacob Greenberg grounded into the fielder's choice. Brings up Max Greenberg. Max is 0 for 1, flew out to left field back in the third inning. Runner down at first with 2 away. Greenberg, first ball swinging, will pop that one to right field. Underneath it, Anasasados for the third and final out. So Cresskill puts up another 0 on the board. That's 4 consecutive scoreless innings of work for Ronald Presta, as he and the Cougars will take a 6-1 lead into the 6th inning, as you're watching here on YouTube. Top of the 6th inning, Cresskill in front, 6-1. As that first pitch is going to miss low for a ball. Cresskill putting up a 3 spot in the last inning. That has led to a new pitcher in this game now for Fort Lee, as the normal starting shortstop Marcus Lee has taken to the rubber. Be the third pitcher of record here in this game today. As Lee going against Eric Nam, the catcher. Nam 1 for 3 in this game. Flew out to right field in the first, had a single in the third, and grounded out to the third baseman his last time up in the fourth. As Lee missing high on that last pitch, and that's going to be a leadoff walk to begin the 6th inning for Cresskill. Again, they have gotten the leadoff runner on in 5 of their 6 innings of play so far in this contest. Fifth walk of the game now for Fort Lee pitching. As that is fouled into the top of the cage for a foul ball, 0-1 against James Connolly. Connolly is 1 for 3 this afternoon. Flew out to right field back in his first at-bat in the first inning. Also had a single in the third and grounded out to short his last time up in the fourth. As Connolly drives that one, hooking it well out of play and across the street onto a neighbor's yard. Dorcom is moved now to shortstop, taking the place of Lee. Pickoff attempt, that's a good one, just a little too late though. Sent Nam scurrying headfirst back into the first base bag. Lee, I think, hit the batter there. His curveball broke too far inside, and now the first two have got it on safely for Cresskill to begin the top of the 6th inning. A walk and then a hit batter. Now Lee has to settle in against Presta, the opposing pitcher, as that's taken in for a strike, it looks like. 0-1. Presta's gone on base twice in this game, drew a walk in the first inning, flew out to center field in the third, and last time up, led off the fifth with a single. Went fishing that time, and a foul tip into the catcher's mitt. A swing and a miss, and there's the first strikeout produced by Marcus Lee. Nice curveball there. Had Presta out in front, and there's one out here in the top of the 6th. Fourth strikeout of the game for Fort Lee pitching. That brings up 5th place hitter in the lineup, the right fielder, Joey Anasasados. He has drawn 2 walks in this game, has also flown out to right field. He's 0 for 1. He's got 2 runners on board in front of him, runners at first and second with 1 out here in the 6th. 5-run lead for Cresskill, and they're looking to extend that lead here. As Lee missed to the outside. A step off the back of the mound by Lee to try to get that lead runner close back to the second base bag. Cresskill, 2 runs in the first, 1 run in the fourth, 3 more in the 5th. Batting here with 2 on and 1 out in the 6th. Curveball for Lee, missing to the inside. Lee has struggled since coming into this game with his location and control, not finding the strike zone. There's a strike right at the knees on the outer outside corner of the plate. Nice pitch there by Marcus. Lee missed there, and that's going to be another base runner, and the bases are loaded with one out here in the top of the sixth inning. And once again, a parade of runners on base in front of Ryan Kopczynski. Swing and a miss with the bases loaded, 0-1 the count. Kopczynski had a two-run double in the first, drew a walk in the third, and then had a sacrifice fly to right field his last time up in the fifth. Can make a big day become a huge afternoon with an RBI opportunity here with the bases loaded. He had the bases loaded back in the first inning when he produced that double that drove in a pair. Lee bounces that one behind home plate. Kopczynski was trying to get out of the way as Senator was also trying to locate where the ball was. Nowhere to put him here with the bases juiced. Lee missing low, and Lee is not throwing strikes. Again, missing low, and that's going to be ball four. That's going to walk in another run, as now it's a 7-1 lead for Cresskill. Third walk of the inning. Cresskill has scored a run without producing a base hit so far here in the sixth. Leadoff man got on with a walk, then a hit by pitch, a strikeout, and now back-to-back walks since then. Dominic Wanderling, the third baseman who has yet to produce a hit here today. He's 0 for 3. Struck out in the first, flew out to left, and then flew out to center field. As Lee bounces that one low again. And now there's going to be a meeting of the mound. And Marcus Lee has just been struggling with his mechanics of how he's been releasing it, whether it be with that plant foot or just throwing a little too late. He's been really having that propensity of throwing it into the dirt just in front of the home plate. Has not been able to really get any type of elevation. It's not like he's missing all that often high in the zone, but he's not even giving him a chance to elicit some swings and misses on pitches that are maybe outside the zone but juicy enough and tantalizing enough for hitters to chase after. Again, Kyle Ratzker started off this game, then he was relieved by Jack Dorcom. Marcus Lee has come into this game now as the third pitcher after beginning the game as the starting shortstop for the Bridgman. And once again, he misses low. And that's going to be another run that comes home with the bases loaded. That's 3 straight walks, I believe, given up by Lee. Now it's an 8-1 lead for Cresskill. As Lee produces a swing and a miss that time from Luke Kopczynski. Luke Kopczynski, 2 for 3 this afternoon. His last time up, an RBI double in the 5th inning. There's another good pitch by Lee, so he's getting ahead of the hitter here, 0-2. And Lee again trying to get that curve to break in the lower portion of the strike zone, but does so outside the zone. Bases remain loaded with one out in the inning. And a swing and a miss. That's going to be the second strikeout produced by Marcus Lee as Luke Kopczynski goes down swinging. Now there's two away with still the bases loaded. Brings up the ninth place hitter, left fielder Tyler Manarang. Manarang, first ball swinging, fouls that one to the right side of the first base line, 0-1. Manarang had a parachute single that floated just beneath or outside the second base side. Max Greenberg nearly hauled in. But Manarang got an RBI single on that hit, that bloop hit, just beyond second base. Also had a base hit in the fourth inning. He's 2 for 3 this afternoon. Manarang with a ground ball down the first base line, but foul as Rosario was trying to get to it. Manarang fouls that one into the top of the cage. Now 2 strikes against him. Missing in the outside. Manarang will fly that one to center field. Initially breaking back, but then coming in to make the play is Perez for the third and final out of the inning. 2 runs come home, though, for Cresskill as they produce those 2 runs based on 4 walks and 1 hit batter. They will stretch their lead now to 8-1 as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning. Bottom of the 6th inning, and it's going to be the leadoff man, Marcus Lee, stepping up to home plate. Lee, first ball swinging down to the third base side. Nice play by the third baseman, but there was going to be no chance to throw out the speedy Lee, hustling all the way out of the batter's box down the first base line. That was Wanderling who dove down to get a piece of that ball at the hot corner. But again, once he was able to set his base and throw across the diamond, Lee was already standing on first base. Infield single by Marcus Lee to lead off the bottom of the 6th inning. Brings up Luke Senator. Senator 0 for 2 in this game. Grounded into a double play his last time up. as they throw over to check in on Lee. Still, Ronald Presta does the pitching here for Cresskill, missing on that pitch that elevated outside the top of the zone. That base hit, the infield single by Marcus Lee. Presta's now given up 5 hits in this game. 1 run on 5 hits. Runner is going. That is going to be popped up to right field. It'll hang in the air enough to secure that out. Lee had to quickly get back to first base to avoid being doubled up on the play. So Senator flies out to right field for the first out of the 6th inning. 1 away. It'll bring up Keizo Katayama. Katayama had the double back in the 1st inning, reached safely on a throwing error by the shortstop in the 4th inning. So he's reached base safely both times he has batted here today. As that pitch missed high and outside, 1-0. As he fouls that one off. Again, congratulations to Keizo, who will be attending Tufts University in his future. Not decided yet if he's going to be trying it out for the baseball program. But he has left his mark here on the Fort Lee Bridgman baseball program over the last couple of years. As I made reference to earlier in the broadcast, he's been more of the Swiss Army knife of type of players, really filling in all different positions all across the field. In the outfield, infield, as well as pitcher and catcher. As that pitch misses high, as Lee will steal second base easily. So once again, another stolen base for Marcus Lee. He's down in scoring position and gives Keizo Katayama a chance at maybe procuring an RBI here in his final home game of his varsity baseball career. Presta's pitch. It's a swing and a miss from Katayama. Good pitch there in the outside corner that had Katayama chasing. Runner down on second with 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th. Katayama lays off that rise ball that went high and outside the zone and elevated. Presta looking for that finishing touch of this at-bat. And he gets it on the swing and a miss as it's held into the catcher's mitt. Katayama is retired for the first time this afternoon, and now there's 2 away in the bottom of the 6th inning. Strikeout number 6 of the afternoon for number 6. Brings up Emmanuel Perez. Perez had the lone RBI in this game for Fort Lee. That came back in the 1st inning. Will ground it down to the first baseman. Connolly fumbled it initially and then dove to the first base bag to finish off that bottom of the 6th inning with the unassisted ground out. So 1 man is left on base. We head to the top of the 7th, and it's a 8-1 lead for the visitors. Top of the seventh inning we go. 8-1 lead for Cresskill, and the fourth different pitcher in this game now for Fort Lee as they hand the ball over to Max Greenberg. It was the starting second baseman. He's getting a chance. Marcus Lee will fill back in at shortstop. Garcia is shifted over to second. Dorcom back to his original position at third. As it's back to the top of the order for Cresskill and Robert Fuellner. As Greenberg bounces that one in the dirt. Fuellner led off the game with the first pitch that he saw with a double down the left field line. Since then, he's popped up to first base, pitted to a fielder's choice. Also struck out looking his last time up in the fifth. Looks like it's kind of the first opportunities for some of these infielders to get a chance to pitch as we close in on the end of the regular season for Fort Lee. I can't recall in at least our broadcast coverage here at home games of seeing Max throw as he fires that one in for a strike, but here's an opportunity for the sophomore, maybe to be considered for a pitching honor with next season in 2024. But he misses there in the dirt on that last pitch, so it's going to be a leadoff walk for Cresskill to begin the top of the seventh inning. That is the ninth walk of the game given up by Fort Lee pitching. They gave up 4 walks in the last inning, and now a leadoff walk to begin the seventh. As Eric Nam, the catcher, hitting in the 2 spot in the lineup, will step in. There's a strike in the outside corner for Greenberg. I'm 1 for 3 with a walk in this game. Cresskill led early in this one, 2-0. Fort Lee fought back with a run in the bottom of the first to make it 2-1. That's a pop-up to right field. Coming in to make the play is Jacob Greenberg. And that secures the first out of the seventh inning on the fly out to right. A lot of work being done by the Fort Lee right fielder here this afternoon. And there's one away here for Cresskill with a runner down at first. Brings up the first baseman, James Connolly. Connolly was hit by a pitch his last time up in the sixth inning. As that curveball dips a little too low and inside for a ball. Connolly flew out to right, had a single, grounded out to short, and had that hit by pitch. There's a strike for Greenberg. There's a pop-up. That's going to chase back the right fielder, but calling off is the center fielder, Perez, who is in deep right center field to make that second out of the inning. So a couple of flyouts produced by Greenberg, and now there's 2 away with the runner still down at first base after that leadoff walk. That'll bring up Ronald Presta. Presta 1 for 3 with a walk here today for Cresskill. Had that lone hit back in the fifth inning. Struck out his last time up in the sixth. As that's a strike, and Greenberg throwing strikes. He's coming into this game here to start off the seventh inning. Again, it's going to be another fly ball, this time to left field as Katayama settles underneath it, a can of corn to get us through the top of the 7th inning. So, no runs on no hits and one left on base. We head to the bottom of the 7th as Cresskill 3 outs away from their 11th win of the season. We head now to the bottom of the 7th inning. 8-1 advantage for Cresskill as Ronald Pressa trying to finish this one off as a complete game victory for the visitors. He'll face the 5, 6, and 7 hitters due up here in this lineup for Fort Lee. As DJ Traore will lead off as a pinch hitter, batting for Franco Rosario, who was 0 for 2 this afternoon. Traore is senior. Recently went 0 for 1 with a walk against New Milford on May 16th. So getting a bat here in his final home game of his high school career. There's the strike, and now he finds himself quickly behind in the count, 0-2. Bounce to the dirt, now 1-2. And not only will this be our swan song for the baseball season, but for the overall 2022-23 academic year in our broadcast coverage of Fort Lee athletics, and it has been quite a ride this entire school year. 1-2 is fouled back. We'd like to thank everybody who has taken the time to tune in to all of our different broadcasts, starting back in the fall with the soccer and volleyball and football seasons, and then moving on, progressing into the winter time with the basketball teams having their stellar winter campaigns as that misses outside 2-2. And then coming here to the springtime with baseball and softball. It has been an honor and a privilege once again to help bring the sights and sounds to all the fans who've tuned in and have said such quite nice things about our broadcast throughout the years. A swing and a miss as now Presta has produced his 7th strikeout of the game, 1 away with no one on here in the bottom of the 7th. It has been, again, so fun to represent the Fort Lee Bridgman Athletic Department. I'd like to thank the athletic director, Mike Raftery, for his support of all these broadcasts. And Dimitri Nanis has been our loyal producer throughout all of these various seasons and all these various sports. I'd like to thank him for his time and his patience in bringing all these broadcasts, as that's going to be a bloop single into shallow center field and a base hit there for the Bridgmen. So a base hit here for Fort Lee. They've got a runner on with 1 out in the bottom of the 7th inning after getting that just out of the reach of the shortstop for a base hit into shallow center field. As Garcia was the man who was able to get that base knock. Garcia is hitting right now. So a 1-out base runner here in the bottom of the 7th inning. But our camera operator here today, Maria Giannattasio, has done an extraordinary job throughout the course of the year, filming in all different elements as well. Renee Matisic has also helped us out throughout the course of this school year. And we finally crossed the finish line here after today's ball game. As that misses low to the outside, as Presta once again trying to finish this one off. Needs 2 more outs to finish this game on the road for Cresskill. Trying to, again, stop that recent slide that has seen them with 4 losses in their last 5 games. As there's a strike. And that's going to be strike 3. Ray Nakajima, by the way, was the one who had that blooping base hit after Garcia's retired with the second strikeout of the inning, 8th of the game for Presta. And Fort Lee is down to their final out of the game. 8th place hitter, Jacob Greenberg. 1 for 2, had a single back in the second inning, hit into a fielder's choice his last time up in the 5th. Bats just never were able to come alive against Ronald Presta. They struck for only 1 run for Fort Lee back in the first inning, but Presta has been throwing strikes, has been using his defense, has been helped out with a pair of double plays. But he's been getting ahead of these counts, and Fort Lee's been chasing him all afternoon long. 1 run on 6 hits, 8 strikeouts, and again, as I mentioned, 2 double plays. Runner down at first, 2 away here, 8-1 lead for Cresskill, as Presta will step off the rubber. That's going to be a line drive right into the glove of the second baseman, Luke Kopczynski, and that will end the ball game. So a line drive out as Ronald Presta goes the distance, a complete game performance there for Presta. He'll pick up the win for Cresskill, who will improve to 11-12 on the season, and Fort Lee will fall to 6-16 on the year. Fort Lee will finish up their season on the road at Lodi on Monday, May 22nd. And for Cresskill, this ends their regular season. They will now await to find out where they will play in the North 1 Group 1 playoffs. As again, they were projected as number 13 seed in that bracket. Top seed, also a team from the NJIC, Pompton Lakes. Maybe they'll match up against them come postseason time. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in throughout the course of this spring baseball season, softball, and all the other sports seasons here with all of our free Fort Lee broadcast coverage of the great student athletes that represent the black and orange of the Bridgman. So for everybody here from Sugarman Sports Complex, I'm Dan Long, signing off. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next fall.